Well, I was living on the streets when I was 14 because my father went to prison. So I was in a different situation to anybody else. What I would tell myself is to keep a little bit of myself for myself, because some people are selfish, some people give too much, and I was giving so much all the time, and I believed that people would behave like me. And so just be careful, not paranoid, but be careful who you trust and what is happening, because you can get yourself into a lot of trouble emotionally if you don't protect yourself. What's written on my business card is Vbites, Heather Mills, and just an email address, because if I put a telephone number, I have no life. So I only have an email address. The coolest thing about my job is traveling the world. You will know from a very young age if you like routine. You know, my best friend still is in the same house, works in the same factory, doesn't like to go abroad too much. That's her personality. Me, I think I've been in one house for 2 weeks, the longest in 30 years. So I move all the time, usually in the same 5 or 6 countries on a regular basis, and then we are in 24 countries around the world. But you have to like traveling, you know, if you're going to do an international business. And it's fun, it's so much fun. Learning little bits of different languages and meeting different cultures and experience the life and the world that we live on. You know, it's a big planet. And the other great thing about traveling is when you think you have a lot of pressure and stress in your life, just take yourself out of your own life and put yourself in another life, and then you have no stress, no pressure. The limitation of my job is time, because my brain is always thinking of a million things, and I need somebody to invent a replication of myself. So I need more of myself, so I can tell the other one, you go. I wish I was a twin. So I'll go there, you go there. But you know, all busy people feel like this. So sometimes it's too busy, but I like to work 24/7, and then I go, I'm tired now. And my phone is off, nobody can call me, nobody can email me. And yeah, that's the most important thing, is to know when to switch off and learn always to switch off. Otherwise your life's over and you just worked and nothing else. So I make 104 products of meat alternates, so they don't harm the animal, the planet, or your health. So I make vegan pizzas, vegan churros, vegan burgers, so that people can still enjoy what they love but not harm anything. Being the owner of a company is completely different to working for a company. So I have to multitask, so I have to think on my feet and not think in a straight line. So if you have a problem, there's not just one solution, but sometimes you have to think laterally. So for example, when I tried to change the law in the European Parliament to stop dogs and cats being skinned alive and shipped here for fur, I had the fur industry try to stop me. So I said, no, come on our side. And they're like, why? And I said, because you don't want people thinking they're wearing dog and cat when you are making fox. And even though fox for me is still terrible, I brought them on my side. So that's not a normal thing to do, is to bring the enemy, so to speak, on your side. Basically, you must try and think of the person who is arguing with you or competing with you or in your opposition if you want to be successful in life. First, so you can always be one step ahead if they are the enemy, but mainly, not everybody's worked in war zones like me, but mainly because you need to think, what's the solution? Otherwise you just argue and fight and have no solution. I think I'd like to talk about the fact that education is really, really important, but don't kill yourself over it. It depends what you want to do. So for example, I had to leave home as a teenager. I had a terrible family life, not normal. And I had to start my business with no education, just normal, a little bit reading, writing. So when I became 30, I took a degree in nutrition and I educated myself later. But if children could take a bit more pressure off themselves for this, you must have a degree, you must, and actually you end up doing better. Not get lazy, but not feel this tension. And if the parents can do the same and really work out what they want to do so they don't waste their time. So there's no point going to university if you want to work in television, for example. I worked in television for the BBC, and everybody went to university, and I just went as a volunteer to the television station. And then when they came out of 4 years university, I was their boss already. So they were like, why did I go to university and get debt and all these problems? So if you want to be a lawyer or a doctor, then that's more important, because you have to really understand everything. You have to study. So when you really think about what you want to do, unless you just like university, then fine. But sometimes you can get quicker into your business by offering your services for free for 6 months, and then make yourself amazing, and they will keep you on after the job. If people wanted to do my job, it would be very good if they could learn how to cook very well, because I have to make Käse and Schnitzel and Bratwurst taste the same from Pflanzen. So I make it from Erbsen, which is pea protein, and it's the same. People say if you're vegan, they say, oh, where's your muscles, you don't get protein. So of course I have muscles. You cannot walk without muscles. And so they would have to learn a lot about food and cooking. They wouldn't have to have a degree. The only reason I did a degree was to argue with the scientists, because they were telling me, you must drink milk, you need calcium. And actually when you drink milk, it takes more calcium out of the body than it gives you. But I had to become a scientist so people would believe me, but I knew it before. So actually when I took my degree, I didn't learn as much. So when you're younger, you think you know what you want to do, and then you change your mind. So if you have the basic education and then decide, then it depends what you want to do. But in my business in Vbites, you have to learn how to cook, you have to love food, and you have to look at different markets. So if I'm selling to Austria, that's a different market in Hofer, like we do, than it is in America. The different tastes. And so, yeah, and you have to work when you have a business. It's 18 hours a day, 7 days a week. So you have no life, so you must love what you do. Never do a job that you hate, but know that not every job is perfect every day. But you should really work out, number one, what you love. Number two, don't worry about money. If you chase money, then you just have unhappiness. A big house, you can never enjoy it because you're working all the time. A bigger car, more problems. So you should chase success, and money comes naturally then. And that's the most important thing I've ever done, because I always was happy in a camper van. I spend a lot of time in my camping van, going skiing and working from there. And just always keep your feet on the ground.